Welcome to Invested Souls, the podcast where real estate expertise meets relationship growth.
And we're your hosts, the Flanagans. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jamie. This podcast is your chance to learn from our experiences and follow in our footsteps. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or real estate professional, we've got the insights and strategies to help you elevate your wealth and achieve financial freedom.
But it's not just all about real estate. We believe that thriving in life means nurturing the relationships that matter most.
That's right. We'll be talking about how to balance your personal and professional life so you can create a fulfilling and prosperous future.
So join us on Invested Souls and let's grow together in wealth, relationships, and success.
Ready to elevate your life? Let's get started. Welcome to Invested Souls. Welcome back to Invested Souls. I'm Jamie Flanagan, and today on the show we have Brandon Richards, and I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself. You have a super cool background.
Yeah. So again, my name is Brandon Richards. Together with my wife, Ashley Richards, we run a couple investment companies. We have brokerage. We now have a software company that we bought last year. And then the main reason we do all of this is we have a nonprofit where we dig wells in Nigeria. And eventually we'll end up spending half the year there. Once we get to the point where we want to retire, we'll spend some time there. And we'll spend some time in Peru where we do a lot of work as well. Yeah, so we just do primarily our strategy right now is land investing. So I like to buy raw land, either with private money or just cash, and then we owner finance it to end buyers. So that's our main strategy, although I've been in just about any or every aspect of real estate. We've had apartments, storage, mobile homes. We've placed mobile homes, we've built houses, flipped houses. We've done pretty much all of it at this point, but land is like, all right,
no toilets.
I'm over the toilets. I'm over my dumpsters catching fire. I'm over the drug deals in my properties. I'm just like, okay, just give me some.
That's wild. I feel you. We have like 80 doors right now working on. We're shifting investments right now. So
yeah, self-managed.
Yeah, we've got one full-time girl that does. So we self-manage, but we've got really good help.
Yeah, good. Well,
yeah.
More power to you.
Do you don't have any rentals anymore? It's all land?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we've been in Flagstaff, Arizona, about 5 years now.
Okay.
As of July. And when we moved out here from Texas, that's where our storage apartments, and we had a couple mobile home notes. We sold the single family and duplexes. Before we left, we kept the apartment storage and the mobile home notes. Then it was just problem after problem and not being nearby. And it was a 15 unit apartment complex. So it wasn't something that I had a big portfolio manager for. So when problems arose, I had on-site management, but he wasn't the best he was too much of a teddy bear. So like when I was pushing him to be tough on people, he couldn't do it. And then one thing after another, we hired a contractor to do some remodeling. She let her felon boyfriend move into the unit without telling anybody. And so he was like coming in before and after hours, and they ended up bringing a gun to the apartment and threatening people and doing drug deals. I'm like, God, I need to get out of this freaking apartment complex. He ended up going to prison.
Some very similar stories.
Yeah. He ended up going to prison because he pulled a gun on somebody in a drug deal, not at my complex thankfully. But we ended up selling it. And thankfully, I don't remember what caused it. I think it was a wire shortage or something, but half the building burnt down on the new owner and nobody was injured. But I'm glad that wasn't, because I already did a large insurance claim on that property. A giant, 200-year oak tree fell on it.
Oh, wow.
Had to replace a few units, do the whole roof. It was a nightmare with the insurance company. But anyways, I hate rentals. So if I buy any larger commercial assets like that, again, it's going to be mobile home parks where it's lot rents only. So I've got to worry about the infrastructure only.
Yeah.
And I love notes. I love dividing. I love creating notes, and it's just easier.
You're probably like the third or fourth person I've interviewed that's get more on the note side, or that's the key, from coming from the rental portfolio.
Yeah. And sadly, I learned about notes ages ago, before I was even in high volume flipping. I got a part of this group that was teaching about IRAs, but they would use IRA money to create these notes and then sell the reels and portfolios notes. But it all seemed ultra complicated to a new investor. And I was like, man, this is the way to go. I have to figure out how to do this. But, things got in the way. I was like, oh, flipping's cool. Flipping's sexy. I make a bunch of money, all that jazz. Now looking back, I was like, shit, I should have never flipped a single house. I should have gone straight into notes. But anyways, hindsight's 2020 as always.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What does that look like now for you?
A lot of regret. So,
so if you were talking to younger you,
yeah,
and you said it was complicated, what would you say is like what was the key to figuring it out that made it maybe simplified?
Now that I think about it, really, one of the bigger struggles is when we first got into real estate, we were dead broke, dead broke. I had just gotten out of divorce, so did my girlfriend at the time. I was living with her on her teacher's salary. She was supporting me and my 2 kids and living in an apartment complex. And I didn't know anything about real estate. So I got my realtor license thinking that was like the way to go. Anyways, brand new realtor, brand new to real estate. I didn't know anything. I didn't make money for months and months and months. And so when we first started getting into wholesale, I was like, oh, easy money, kind of. And, that's a different conversation. And so when we first started doing flips, it was like, oh, shoot, we're actually making real money now. So the passive aspect of it kind of took a backseat, which is probably the biggest factor because being broke, kids, new wife, my number one goal is money, money, money.
Yeah.
And so keeping assets wasn't top of my list at the time. And then I just got stuck in the routine. I was wholesaling and flipping a bunch, and we were just doing higher volume. And before I realized, I was like, dude, I should have kept a few of these. Like some of these would have been like nice cash flowing properties.
Insane, right?
Yeah. And then one day I just bought a piece of land. So out here in Arizona, I placed double wide manufactured homes. And I had bought this particular property cheap enough. And I was like, I bet if I sell it at X, I can make just as much money as if I would spend all the time and energy to place a new double wide. So I gave it a shot. I sold it on the less and made $40,000 in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, that was way easier. Next time, how about I just take a decent sized down payment, cut out my private lender, not cut out, but pay off private lender, and collect payments. And so the very first deal, we took $30,000 down, cleared the private note. We made $7,000 at closing, and we got $1,100 a month for 2 years. I can't remember the note terms. And that's the downside. Like if we're owner financing land, it's typically a smaller dollar amount, which doesn't stretch out our amortization schedule very long. So it is a pipeline that I got to keep, going.
Yeah.
Versus like owner financing $180,000 house, you put that on a 30-year note, you're set. So that is one downfall. But nobody's ever calling me. So like if they miss a payment, then which they haven't yet, we just file default and go for foreclosure and whatever. But it's just
how is it like? How often would you say you have to do that?
I haven't had to do it with land yet. So the only time I've done a loan modification, I had a mobile home in Texas that I owner financed to a gal and made a few mistakes on that one. I was a little bit desperate to get rid of it. It wasn't selling. It was kind of sitting a while. So a really nice young lady, single mom came up. She had bad credit, but seemed like a nice woman. Anyways, we sold it to her, took a small down payment. I allowed her to defer part of the down payment until she got a couple more checks, which she eventually paid. And then we got into it like 18 months or something, and she started getting behind on payments, not making payments. Eventually she was 3 months behind. I was like, okay, what do we got to do here? We did a loan modification and she was still in default. So I initiated the foreclosure process. I was like, listen, I don't want to foreclose on you. Your credit's already bad. It's going to be worse, and it's going to be worse for a long time. What do we need to do here? I was like, you need to either take a foreclosure, which nobody wants to do. We can do cash for keys, just give it back to me. Or you can get a realtor and try to sell it. And then, being I don't want to be rude, but being a broke individual, she listed it way too high and it sat and sat and sat. And so I'm paying my private lenders month after month. And I'm like, okay, I'm about over it. Let's, I don't want to do this foreclosure thing. So eventually she allowed me to reach out to some of my contacts. An investor buddy of mine bought the property, paid me off, and I should have done a default judgment for the remaining balance, but I just let it go. And that's the only time. It wasn't a horrible experience. It was frustrating. I like to try to be nice before I start throwing like the foreclosure words out there and stuff. But it would be the exact same in land. If somebody defaulted, it would be the same deal. I try to work out some sort of forbearance or loan modification and push some notes or some payments on the back end. And unless it got crappy, and then, all right, well, thanks for your down payment. I guess I'm foreclosing and I'm going to go find another buyer.
Right. So now you mostly buy land in Arizona or kind of everywhere?
So we wholesale houses in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
We buy land in Arizona, Utah, and we're moving to Alaska. So we are ramping up our marketing in Alaska. So Alaska being as big as it is, I intend to have a ton of fun buying land out there. So yeah, those three states.
Big climate change.
Well, I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona. So
that's true. Okay.
We get more snow here than we do, or we will in Alaska.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we get about 160 to 180 inches here annually. And where we're going to be in most of the coastal areas of Alaska get less than 80 inches.
Wow, I had no idea. Yeah. That's wild.
But we love the snow. As soon as we see a snowstorm coming, me and my wife are like, little kids are like, right? Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, so. It's awesome. We're skiers. So awesome. We love the snow. Utah. So what part of Utah are you buying land in? We've looked there, southern Utah a lot.
Yeah, southern. Yeah, okay. So and the reason I chose southern was I like the under $80,000 to $100,000 price points. And I want to be in a high transaction area, but also an area that is what I consider recreational, because I don't want to finance a property to somebody and then they want to go build a house in 12 months. Then I'm going to be paid off.
Right.
It's all fine and dandy, but I don't collect interest for 5, 7, 15 years.
Yep.
So I like to be in areas that are recreational. So I look for mountain ranges where people want a vacation to, lakes, state parks, all that stuff. And so we are in the Strawberry, Roosevelt area of southern Utah.
Okay. Where? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
So, and I had my brother help me with finding this location. We sounded like Peter Wow when we were on realtor.com and just looking around the entire state. He's a realtor up there. And so it's north of St. George.
Okay.
Pretty decent amount. So it's not southern, but it is southeast of Salt Lake and the Draper area. Yep. And then east of the mountain range where all the lakes are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, you can buy an acre there, similar to northern Arizona, somewhere around 15, 20,000, sell for 40, 50,000. And that's like my sweet spot. I love it. Okay.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah. We've looked at Utah a lot. Well, and just, it's amazing how much it's growing. Like the development that's happening out there. I'm like, dang, there's opportunity everywhere here. It's pretty insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
So how do you manage that if you guys are being Alaska, Oklahoma, like how does your team structure look?
Well, all of my lead generation is done by my virtual assistants. So we do cold calling, email, and texting. And so they do all the prospecting for me, including comping and making offers. They'll draft the contracts. I'll just review all of the documentation before we go ahead and send that contract out. I'll verify comps and rehab and all that stuff.
But they're running comps for you.
Yeah, they're doing everything for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So they were already trained in comping single family real estate. So they're pretty proficient at that. Doing the land is a little bit more difficult. So we just use a multitude of softwares to do that, as well as MLS Access, and some of the, like Utah and Alaska are non-disclosure states. So it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, they do all of that. And then for land, I'm able to desktop analyze and due diligence all of these effectively enough so that I don't have to be anywhere nearby to make an offer on purchase.
Nice. We kind of go remote. We're like between Nebraska, Arizona, and Colorado. And I've run a real estate team remotely, but there's some struggles there. It's like, I'm a very visual person. So like for me, I have a really hard time doing like a desktop analysis. So it's interesting. I probably need to find somebody who's good at that to be a part of me. But yeah, so it's like the team structure is always fascinating to me. Like I feel like the guys who are doing the wholesaling are some of the best, the ones that get good at it. Not the driver, not the ones driving the neighborhoods, but the ones who get really good at it. Their systems and their staff, like the VAs, are freaking what makes them. Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch. So you, like, from a standpoint of like somebody listening to this, if they were to want to, like, how could they help you, or what do you have going on right now that would be like, I know you have a Facebook group. So tell me a little bit about that and your goals around what's like next for you and connecting with people.
So next is just essentially continuing the land portion of our investment. But like I said, I have a small real estate brokerage here in Arizona. I don't have real intentions of growing that, but my biggest excitement in my business right now is we bought a software company last year called Deal Manager Pro. It's just a real estate investor CRM. And so there's a lot of guiding factors to that. A lot of it was, basically diversifying where the income comes in and looking for a business that was more passive versus like a restaurant. Like my buddy bought a restaurant. He's there all the time. That is not what I want to do. But he has a passion for food and everything. So.
Sorry.
No, all good. So anyways, yeah, Deal Manager Pro, it's a CRM. It's very comparable to all the competition. We got Investor Fuse, REI Simply, all the other big ones, except that we offer nationwide comps. We have a direct mail component. We have skip tracing. But my most exciting aspect of it is we have automations coming. So, and really they're done. They're just in our dev environment. And so we're just testing some things. So what that means is, if Miss Sally calls in, says that she wants to sell her house on 123 Main Street, but not right now, that is a warm lead that goes into your CRM for nurturing over the course of the life of that potential deal. But where most investors flunk and drop the ball is in the follow-up game. Like a lot of my biggest deals, like I've wholesaled motels, restaurants, mobile home parks, all of these bigger deals have taken me 12, 18, 3 years to lock in. And if it wasn't for me continually following up, that would have never happened. Some of these wholesale deals are 6 figures. It's like, why not have a system to help you follow up? So
totally.
The automations is, okay, Miss Sally says she'll sell, but not right now. You really haven't negotiated much, but you need to touch base with her consistently. So as soon as you got the phone, you place your notes in the system, you hit the button, and we'll have templates in there for email and texting. And so when you set that template on go in 90 days, whatever that time frame is, the system is automatically going to text or email that seller. And so that way you don't got to think about it. It's going to be in the system. And if Miss Sally happens to call 3 a.m, if it's after hours, we'll have a chat bot AI responder. So that's going to be a little bit of a burden. I got to teach it how to respond. But even if it's simplistic, as long as somebody's keeping Miss Sally engaged, that's your deal when it comes time to sell. So that's the biggest thing we got going on. Outside of that,
can I ask what that cost? Like, what if you're open to discussing? Like, what's that cost for somebody to utilize?
Yeah, so Deal Manager Pro right now is just shy of $200, $197. I do have a discount right now, so we're doing 50% off right now until the end of June. But even outside of that, like if you are creating a team or you are new to wholesaling real estate, we have, when you're inputting a new lead, there's I can't say very because it's not very, it takes a few extra minutes, but there's a lengthy input process. You got the standard seller, photos, notes, all that.
Right.
But if you input your comps, and then your numbers with ARV, insurance, rental rate, property taxes, and your offering percentage, it will create an ROI for you. So you'll know what you'll be making. And then there's rehab template and creator there. And then
it's all built in.
Yeah. And then a deal analysis. So it'll say at the very bottom, once you've input all the details, like here is your gross profit, net profit based off your private money, your title, insurance, all that jazz. And at the bottom, it says, okay, this is a great flip, burr, wholesale, or whatever strategy it shoots out.
That's bad. I work with a wholesaler. He closes on him. That's always confusing to me. But that's our biggest thing is his automatically get emailed to me and then I'm calling him, but then sometimes he'll call and sometimes I'll call and then we're like, we'll set an appointment. Like,
right.
Dang it.
Yeah. And in there, you can set up what we call just a deal finder. But if you have a deal that you're working in conjunction with somebody and they both have to be Deal Manager Pro users, we have what's called an API link. And so if you create the lead, you can send that lead to your deal partner there, and it'll be in both your systems. That way you can keep up with the notes and documentations there.
Okay. So it's like instead of 2 users, you each have your own log. Like you each have the software.
Yeah, if you're 2 different companies. If you have like a bird dog, then you can have them in your system as a bird dog. Or if you actually have like a VA that is inputting your data for you like I do, it's just an additional user.
Okay. Yeah, we're 2 separate companies. That's pretty sweet because like from real estate, I'm sure you've looked at CRM, so like Follow Up Boss. I have a Follow Up Boss login because I work with a builder. So I have a Follow Up Boss login for my builder and have a separate Follow Up Boss login for my personal team. I'm like, it's I wish they would talk to each other. Maybe they do. Maybe I should ask them. I don't think they do.
Yeah, and Follow Bosses for realtors primarily. It's got the
Right.
integration.
Yeah,
It does have, which we're gonna end up copying Deal Manager Pro and offering that to realtors at some point in the future. But after we get some of these things wrapped up.
Yeah. Gosh, it'd be so cool. Like when we coach people on like how to identify a deal, like we always tell them, if it makes a good flip rental and short-term rental, like it's game over, write the offer.
Right.
But if there was a way because a lot of the people that we coach or talk to are real estate agents trying to offset their tax burden.
Yep.
It's like they're producing agents. We just don't want to pay we don't want to pay the IRS. So get some depreciation in there, which is why now that I think about it, that's why we've avoided land.
Yeah.
But because we need the assets to depreciate.
Right.
But that would be super cool to be able to plug that in as a CRM, because it's hard to find a CRM that works with, obviously that's why you developed it, right? Because it doesn't, it's super hard to find something that works with what we're doing. Like we've tried to create it in Go High Level. It works, but it's not probably, there's so much build out that comes along with that. Follow Boss obviously doesn't have the reporting or skip tracing or any of that. So that's really sweet. I'll definitely share this podcast with lots of people.
Yeah, no, I'd appreciate it. And being the owner, and I'm pretty active on social media, and at least in the foreseeable future, I'm not going to be one of those CEOs or owners that like wants to be hidden in the background, talk to my team. So if there's ever something that is wrong or you think is like a good suggestion for upgrades, I'm going to have direct contact with the developers. So as soon as something looks like it's a good project, and as long as we don't have many others going on, we can throw cool ideas into the mix and get it going pretty quickly.
Gosh, that's awesome. Hopefully I'll get you some clients off of this. I think I will. I know a lot of people that would really benefit from this. Okay, this is awesome. So how would people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get in touch?
Pretty much all the CRMs, all the social media platforms.
Okay.
I'm most active on Facebook in regards to business. I have a business Instagram and a personal Instagram.
Okay.
On Facebook, I recently changed all of my tags. Most of them, including TikTok, are whatever the link is, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. It's at Deal Manager Pro.
Okay.
My personal Facebook. Too. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I gave that all to you before.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then I created the group, so I offer free, not necessarily coaching, but just advice in there. And then I do bi-weekly free Q&As. And I'm going to be hosting a free wholesaling course. So I created this quite lengthy wholesaling course where I'm going to teach a newbie or even a seasoned person how to wholesale from A to Z. And I'll be doing that probably once a month. I've got the course created. I just got to launch it. And, in the middle of moving to Alaska, it's a little difficult to get that rolling. And then I just finished my book, Dirty Money.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I literally just got finished last week, so I'm super excited to put that out there.
Great title.
Well, I was going to do Dirt Rich, but there's already one out there. And so,
really?
Yeah, so I was like, well, how do I make it catchy and almost too catchy to where people are like, well, Dirty Money, is this a drug book? And so then I had to do a subtitle for, why land is the best real estate asset. But yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you can connect with Brandon. In the show notes, there will be all the social profiles, and then join your group. I noticed I went and joined it today. Fill out and you have like a free download, free PDF for 50 ways to get identified motivated sellers. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So that'll be in there for you guys to go join. So thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to leave the audience with? A tip that you would either not do again or that you really recommend doing? Daily habit, anything?
My habits are weird. I get up at 4 a.m. to do all my desktop work, and then I go to the gym and I just do whatever I want the rest of the day. So I make sure my stuff's done in the morning. But one point I mentioned, when you join that group, it says right there you get the 50 motivated sellers, but actually in there I've already uploaded a bunch of other things. Okay, I have a rehab calculator. I've got an owner finance wrap calculator for private money if you want to wrap private money, and a variety of other things. So you don't get the one free thing, you get a bunch of free things. And there's wholesale documents, contracts, all kinds of stuff in there.
Awesome. I do want to point out something because at the beginning of this call, I was like, I'm a mess because we got our house getting ready to be Airbnb'd. And then you're like, I'm moving, so I'm not in my normal spot. But I posted on Facebook this week, and it was just about showing up.
Yep.
Because sometimes it's so inconvenient, but that's what gets you, that's the success, right? It's sometimes we don't want to show it, even wholesale deals. It's some of the houses that it's do I really want to do this today? But at the end result, it always pays off. But showing up is literally like 95% of
And I left yesterday. A friend of mine who's he's a commercial pilot, but he trains. It's called CFI, but nobody knows what a CFI is. Certified Flight Instructor. Okay. He's like, hey, before you move to Alaska, do you want to go do some tailwheel training, basically bush plane? I was like, yeah, but I got a podcast in the morning, so how early can you get there? So we got to the airport at 7 a.m. and I did a bunch of flying. And then ran home real quick to get on this podcast.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's freaking badass. I wasn't even up that early. Yeah. You already freaking been in the flight. And
oh yeah, I've already done a bunch of content on social media. Flew a couple hours on a plane. Yeah.
Could definitely work on the morning thing. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. I'll definitely be in touch, and we'll get some people coming your way for that CRM.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Invested Souls.
We hope you found our insights valuable and feel inspired to elevate your real estate and relationship goals.
If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us.
Follow us on social media for more tips and updates, or visit bradandjamieflanagan.com. And to find out more about our Real Estate Wealth Accelerator, don't hesitate to reach out.
Until next time, keep investing in your future and nurturing your relationships. Thanks for listening to Invested Souls.